man. What's up with everybody? It's your boy DT3 and my man Two Hands Up in the building. What's going on, man? I'm here to holler at y'all about this Terrence Crawford, Shawn Porter situation. Me and my boy Two Hands both agree that Terrence Crawford would beat Shawn Porter, except my man Two Hands thinks that Terrence Crawford would stop Shawn Porter. I, on the other hand, think that Terrence Crawford will beat him via points. He'll go 12 rounds, but we still both agree that Terrence Crawford would beat Shawn Porter. My thing is, Two Hands, I think Terrence Crawford is ducking Shawn Porter. What? I'm going to wax and say he ducking.
What?
That friendship shit don't matter, bro. You saw what you saw Wilder. He fought Malik Scott. That was his friend.
Right. That was his sparring partner in DT3. I gotta stop you right there when you say that, because all Bucks, when we were just talking about this same topic the other day on live with a couple other gentlemen on there, you yourself says you used to argue and fight with your brothers and stuff like that when y'all was young, and it stopped around high school. I said, yeah, it stopped around high school when you matured, right? I said because Tyron Woodley and Ben Askren are both brethren, came up through the mixed martial arts and the wrestling ranks, and they said they would never fight each other, and both of them were on the same stage in the UFC in the same weight class, and both of them needed each other kind of at that time, considering that Kamaru Usman was the champion. So there was plenty of reason for those guys to fight, but it's just sometimes you just can't go against the grain. And when you come up with an individual, like I said, when you said you stopped fighting them in high school, I say maturity plays a major factor on that. So, and also, I just don't believe it's just necessary for Bud to fight Shawn Porter anyway, because this is the fact that people are missing here. Shawn Porter is coming off of a loss, people, whether it's devastating if you felt as though we win, or it's devastating if you felt as though, it was just a very, very punishing fight. He still is coming off of a loss. So we can't look at what Bud Crawford is doing as a 147 champion with the WBO and expect him to go after, regardless of whether you see it a good fight or not, or you look at it like a moral victory, an individual who is just coming off a loss when there are unified champions and there's another champion with the WBA Super right in that division. So that's just why I personally believe that it's not going to do any good, even though it's a competitive match. We can rest our hats on that. I just think that the world of pundits isn't going to give that its level of respect, considering that, hey, if we can get Shawn Porter to fight, being with the PBC, why can't we get the same thing out of Errol Spence? Even if we want to give him a tune-up in the summer at the end of the year and start prepping for a major 147 clash, or why can't we get the same energy out of Manny Pacquiao, considering they are all PBC fighters? That's just what it boils down with me.
I think Manny ain't gonna fight Terrence. I think if Manny was gonna fight Terrence, best time for him to fight him was at his peak on Top Rank, and that didn't happen. I think Manny at his peak could have beat Terrence, because Terrence didn't reach his peak at that particular time. I think he was still on up and coming. And as always, Bob Arum don't like putting his money makers together. He did the same thing with Floyd and Oscar. They wanted to fight each other, but for some reason, amongst men, Bob didn't want Oscar and Floyd to fight. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to go with Terrence Crawford beating Shawn Porter. But right now, I really feel like who could Terrence Crawford fight and beat to get the notoriety that he deserves to get in a unification bout to possibly become a undisputed welterweight champ, if not for Shawn Porter. If ain't nobody else, there's nobody else.
You want to know what? And a lot of people aren't going to agree with me, but hardcore boxing fans are probably going to understand when I say this. I think the best person that Terrence Crawford can absolutely fight right now is Sergey Lipinets. That Russian is he's an absolute showstopper. He's a killer right now. He's on a tear. He's knocking niggas out. I feel like he's a very, very tough fight in the division that doesn't nobody want to take. He's a top 5 welterweight all across the board. So I feel like Sergey Lipinets would be the best fight that he possibly could make if he can't get in the ring with any other champions. Now, a lot of people are going to say Sergey Lipinets, and that name probably won't even ring a bell for him. But if you watch Sergey Lipinets fight, and if you watch who he's been fighting lately and things of that nature, he's a very, very tough out for anyone. And I just think that Sergey Lipinets would be the way for him to go.
Yeah, you gotta give credit for that. I didn't really give no credit to Sergey Lipinets, but if you want to be technical, he's number 2 in WBO. Danny Garcia is number 1 in WBO. So, and yet still, Danny Garcia is not trying to, basically live off of that number 1 contention spot in the WBO. He's not trying to use that to his advantage. So, Virgil Ortiz is number 3. You think he would get some credit for beating the Virgil Ortiz at number 3 in the WBO?
You know what? Virgil Ortiz, for as great as a fighter as he is, and the last 3 guys that he just put down, they've never been stopped in that fashion. I don't think Virgil Ortiz would get, I don't think Bud Crawford would get the credit because I think Virgil Ortiz is still very much a baby in the game, even though, his skill set is above and beyond. He's up there with the top prospects in the game, but he is still very much considered a prospect. So I don't think him going in and fighting a Virgil Ortiz, nor do I think a Virgil Ortiz wants to take that match right now. He's trying to step up with a Keith Thurman, and he sees a lot of, even he has enough belief in himself to believe that he can beat a Keith Thurman right now. So that says a lot about the kid's belief, but I think that he's setting Keith Thurman at such a bar right now for himself, because if that was the case, he would have called out Terrence Crawford as well. I just don't think that would be good for Terrence Crawford or Virgil Ortiz right now. I think both of them should go in a different direction. And then down the line, would that be a great fight? That would be a fucking hell of a fight. Hell of a fight.
I think Virgil should fight Enos. In my opinion.
Ron Enos?
I think he should fight Jaron Enos. And I think
Jaron Enos should take that fight because both of them are considered. Jaron Enos, for some reason, with how many fights now? 24. 24 fights right now, undefeated, is still considered a prospect. 24 fights is still considered a prospect. And at the same time, we got Virgil Ortiz right now. 17 fights, right? 17 knockouts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
number 3 WBO. Number 3 with only 15.
That's a great fight. That's a great fight. And what? Jaron Ennis is like what, number 9 or number 8 on the WBO standing?
Oh, like that? He's 13.
Yeah, I knew he was down there. I just didn't know how far down there he was. Yeah, so I think that would be a good fight because at the end of the day, even though that would be a credible prospect fight to where you can gauge each other. It's like, yo, look, both of these guys got top talent. They got top level skill. Jaron Ennis has been proven to be a fucking flashy showboating switch hitter with the ability to turn it up and with flashy combinations at any given time in a fight. Virgil Ortiz he showed ability with combination. He can bully you on the inside. Every one of his shots are thudding. So I just think that would be a great fight between 2 top prospects, and whoever comes out of that, I think their next fight could be potentially should be a champion fight. Right, yeah, that would be a good fight. I don't see why that fight shouldn't be made. But who is Boots Ennis with right now as far as promotion?
He don't got nobody behind him. That's why he's where he's at, because he don't have nobody behind him. From what I was told, no one was behind him. PBC, Matchroom, BT, Top Rank. He's pretty much on his own height. He's pretty much his own boss. And and the only person that I've seen in my experience watching boxing that made it work being actually their own boss and not being rich in the process is Bernard Hopkins, because Bernard Hopkins did it his way and he made the best of it. He made it work. But I don't see Boots Ennis really being able to do what B-Hop did in boxing.
Right, because Roy Jones tried to do that. I was going to say, he tried to do it. Him and his father tried to do it in the infancy of his career, and his father was getting him all of these effed up ass fights. And so he had to eventually even go over to a promotional side to get his first championship, I believe it was. So yeah, man, you got to unfortunately, you're going to have to get with a promoter unless you were kind of blessed to be born in a circle with those type of people around you to where you can get those type of fights. It's the only way it truly happens, really. You're going to have to go with some promotion, or the best thing to do is kind of stay outside, get with like a DeBella Entertainment, something like that. So you're not necessarily tied to the PBC, Matchroom, or so on and so forth, and you can still move around and wiggle as a free agent and take these fights.
Appreciate that, UK. Appreciate that, dog. It's all good. All good. But yeah, man, I was just wondering about that, man. And I still feel like Terrence Crawford
UK boss
should fight Shawn Porter. I do. I get what you're saying. You know, Shawn Porter's coming off a loss and all that. But Shawn Porter, out of all the fighters we named, Shawn Porter is the bigger name. And we know fighters are not fighting really for legacy. They fighting for the check. That's really what it's about. And if you want to get the fights for the checks, you got to basically go through all these loops and holes and bounds and all that to get these fights. Even though I think they're going to do the same thing with Terrence Crawford that they did with a Dillian White. Even if Terrence Crawford was to fight all the stipulations that they were to put in front of him and was to overcome them, they still will find some way to shortchange him and discredit him and take away his chances of fighting for the undisputed belt.
Who, Anthony Joshua?
No, Terrence Crawford.
Oh, they would try to discredit him fighting for the undisputed belt.
Fighting for undisputed, yep. Because man, that's what it's all about.
Honestly, at this point in time, when you look at Terrence Crawford and you look at everybody Terrence Crawford has fought, and you look at his introduction to 147 and the opponents he's taken on already outside of Jose Benavidez being shot in the knee or whatever, and you know what I mean, one night in Arizona. I mean, that's the only thing that you can probably say is a blemish on there, but he was still an undefeated fighter. And you know, he came up, he beat Jeff Horn as a champion, stopped him, and all the other guys he stopped at all the other guys he fought at 147, he stopped as well. So if he does get that undisputed title and he does become undisputed and Ring Magazine champion of the world, I don't think there's anything you can say about Terrence Crawford's career, and he would probably go down there as top 5 all-time great. You know what I mean? To be perfectly honest, undefeated and to be undisputed in 2 weight classes back to back, and arguably the most competitive weight class in this era at this time, and just overall skill set alone. And the fashion in which he has beat every opponent, he's pretty much stopping every guy he goes up against. And his KO ratio is pretty high considering that he has the number of fights that he has. So, like, I think that, like, Terrence Crawford is going to be solidified regardless of what a couple people are going to say. Because, like I said, in boxing, we live in the world that you damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So it's all going to come around. It's all going to come down to argument, but at the end of the day, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. That's what makes solidifying an individual and an all-time great definitive. So
got you. James Bell asks, so who you guys think going to win between Gamboa and Tank? I got Tank in 4 and 6. Excuse me. I got Tank in 6 stoppage.
Yeah, I got Tank winning in spectacular fashion. You know, I didn't necessarily pick a round or anything like that, but what I must say is I never viewed this fight, just we all know what this fight is supposed to be, let's be honest here, but I never viewed this fight as a situation of where Tank is just going to get in, because I'm kind of straddling the fence here on the way he's going to win. Because as I told you, DT3, I don't think it's going to be as easy as Tank just saying he's going to walk in there and he's going to make it, even though he's supposed to beat him like that. I just think, well, what's going on with the weight and everything, the best way I can put it like this, I won't be shocked if it's a tough out for Tank, considering all that's going on with an individual that comes up from 130 to 135, is fucking overweight, 1.2 freaking pounds, got an hour to shave off that type of weight, isn't even disciplined coming up to 135. Like,
I think that's
going to be surprised if there's problems.
That's going to work against Tank having to drain all that weight. I think that's going to work against him.
Shit, with only an hour to go to, like when we was talking on the phone, bro, I don't think people understand how hard it is to drain 1.2 pounds with only an hour to do it, bro. Like, it's not an easy thing to do. And like I was saying to you on the phone, DT3, if you got to drain 1.2 an hour before, if you only got an hour to drain 1.2, that means you were cutting weight all fucking day. So that means you were just completely not disciplined in your craft.
Exactly. So, and that's the problem. He ain't disciplined. So there's no way with Gervonta Tank Davis discipline being the way it is, there's no way he would be successful at the higher weight classes. No way. Like, he moved up from 130 because he couldn't make 130. And mind you, he was showing up 131, 132, 133. Like he was showing up at those weights, saying that it was too hard to get down to 130. Just for you to go up to 135 and now you 130. Like, come on, bro. You can make 135 easy. It ain't hard.
I mean, the stature of that individual, honestly, he can make 130 as well. But he isn't disciplined enough to want to make 130. And you know, honestly, I think that if he stayed at 130 any longer than what he did with what Devin Haney just did and what's going on in the division above him with the guys that came up with him in those same gyms, if he didn't make some sort of statement that he knew that he was going to get left behind, and more questions were going to arise about Tank's inability to take on big fights, and what is Tank really doing in his career, and how is Floyd and them really gotten him. So I'm sure they told him, you need to take your ass up to 135. We're going to make this Gambo about, he's 37, he's like 36 to 38 years old. You know what I mean? He's coming off wins. We can make that bout and, you know, try to make you look some certain way, get you a little trinket belt, a WBA regular, throw that in the mix, call it a title shot, because you know everybody is blind and ignorant to PBC fighters anyway. Try to make it look like it's a major world title championship, throw it down in Atlanta and, you know, in Black Hollywood right now, and just put on a fight for real. So that was basically, they had to make a splash and do something with him. And even though as lackluster as that splash may have been, even though that splash was more like a step in a foot in a fucking dirty puddle, I mean, that's what they had to do. They had to do something. So in my opinion, it was more like, look, man, we got to sink or swim over here. And those other guys like your Devin Haney and your Teofimo, and look, man, how does it truly make you look when you got Teofimo Lopez just bodies of fucking Richard Comey and stops him in the second round? And look at what you're doing over here, bud. It don't look good, man.
And you in a stacked division too. You got Teofimo, Devin Haney, Richard Comey, Lomachenko. Like you in a stacked. Ryan Garcia might even move up to 35. Like you in a stacked division.
Very much so.
With some hitters. There's no reason why in 2020 Tank shouldn't be. Hence the day he beats Gamboa. If he beats Gamboa in dramatic fashion, as everybody's saying he's going to do, his next fight better not be against somebody that's like coming up from 130. He needs to be fighting these raw dogs. I wouldn't care if his next fight is against Richard Comey.
I wouldn't. That would honestly be a good fight for him, and that'd be a good fight for Richard Comey. But honestly, like for real, the way I look at it, bro, it's kind of like, man, dude, like Tank should like be kind of kicking himself in the ass, because Tank really just came from a situation where he was the youngest champion at the weight when he beat Pedraza. If he would have kept that momentum, kept taking his craft serious, and we were looking at where he's at right now, he should be where Teofimo Lopez is at, and honestly surpassing him. Like Tank is on the way. He's really about to fucking hurt his fucking career, because he keeps coming at it overweight. Like after the IB being overweight with the IBF, being overweight at the which was it? Was it Ricardo Nunes? His last fight, being overweight with Ricardo Nunes and all of that stuff. It's like, man, I'm not invested with this kid. It's almost like you got to watch you're almost just watching what he's doing, really, just because, hey, that's a part of the game, watching what he's doing. But if you're watching what all the other guys are doing at 135, like, you know, look, man, Tank is in such a position where he's looking weak and he's looking vulnerable, that you got guys like Ryan Garcia who truly want the smoke in 2020 and is putting out tweets saying he wants that fight in 2020. Then, you know, who else said it? Who else said they want the smoke? Of course, Lomachenko been wanting the damn smoke. You know what I mean? Tevin Farmer wants to smoke. All of these guys want the smoke. And you want to know why? Because they're seeing hella chinks in his armor. And you can't keep going around fighting bums while fucking Tevin Farmer's about to jump in a dog fight, which I'm absolutely going to love, with a JoJo Diaz. And you fighting old ass Gamboa. It's like these dudes are really fighting because, you know, Tevin Farmer's coming off fighting John O'Carroll. He's coming off fighting a JoJo Diaz and shit like that. And you coming off fighting a Ricardo Nunes and Hugo Ruiz and shit like that. Like, bro, like you're killing yourself. So these dudes are looking at it like, yo, I'm sharpening I'm still sharpening steel over here, bro. You ain't putting in that same kind of work. I'm ready to ice you. You know what I mean? Like, I forgot the name of Ryan Garcia's last opponent. Somebody can say it in the chat. That was a step up fight for him, supposedly. You know what I mean? I didn't have much investment in him, but that was still a step up fight. And he knocked him the fuck out, cold, face down, ass up. Like so, Tevin Farmer. I mean, so Tank Davis ain't even putting in that kind of work. So it's almost like, bruh, how can I disrespect what these guys are trying to do as prospects on their ways of trying to climb the rankings of trying to be pound for pound fighters, and Tank Davis isn't doing anything in the such, I should say.
Right. And they somebody posted in the comment in the chat about Leonard Ellaby constantly trying to hype up Tank Davis because they're not. People need to realize that everybody's on the same fitness model as Floyd Mayweather. They do not care about being the best in the ring. They don't care about being the best that puts on the gloves. They don't care about that. What they care about is being the best fighter financially. They care about being the star. They care about everybody knowing them. Why do you think they doing a fight in Atlanta? Because that's Black Hollywood, as my man Two Hands said. It's Black Hollywood. You got all the rappers. You got all the black actors. You got all the famous people in that area that you're trying to get to come out to that fight. So when the fight happens, they can take pictures and say, oh, what's this guy? We got the Migos. We got 2 Chainz. You know, we got all the hip-hop moguls out here at this fight to try to make Tank look like he's just this amazing star, and he pulls this amazing star power. So his next fight will be a pay-per-view fight. But the thing is, who he gonna fight? Because I'm not paying $75 to see him fight somebody of the caliber of a Gamboa. I'm only gonna pay to see him fight Loma, Tiafimo, or Devin Haney. I'll pay for that. But if he just fights some random dude that they just found out of nowhere and they just finna put him on pay-per-view like they did this Wilder Ortiz debacle, no.
Hey, boom, pull up the WBA rankings at 135. Because, like, this is the thing. The position Tank Davis is in right now, for what he's trying to achieve tonight, he's trying to get a WBA regular belt. So if you take a WBA regular belt, then you're pretty much making yourself the mandatory for Vasily Lomachenko. So if you're not gonna fight Vasily Lomachenko next, what are you gonna do? We got Devin Haney, who's in fucking WBC recess champion, whatever the hell that is, because he's got to get a whole shoulder surgery. And we already know that Tiafimo and Vasily Lomachenko are about to lock horns next. So your next fight would have to be like, who's the top guy in your division, or what else that's actually sexy out there that you can make. I know you definitely can fight Ryan Garcia. There's no reason why you can't fight Ryan Garcia now, because the other guys are going to be tied up, and we know Devin is injured. Okay, so Gamboa number 2, Robert Easter number 3, Ryan Garcia, Mendy, Ryan Garcia, man. That's the fight. That's the fight. Or watch, they'll try to make him fight Robert Easter. But they boys though.
They gonna fight.
Might serve him, or they could try to.
That's the contradiction. That's the contradiction. I ain't gonna flex. Because they'll now I do feel like, in my opinion, that Terrence Crawford is ducking Shawn Porter. That's my opinion based on how things is turning out. That's just my opinion. But if Robert Easter is ranked where he's ranked in the WBA, and he's technically a name and a high caliber opponent in boxing. So if they say he should fight Robert Easter, and they say, oh, I'm not gonna fight Robert Easter because me and him boys.
I think that situation different. I think they so icy choke chain boys though. Like them niggas, they been homies since the whole inception of the so icy choke chain crew. You know what I mean? Like they homies based off that Adrian Broder, Tank Davis, their whole nigga, they whole nigga strip club homies. You know what I'm saying? Like they MVP kissing cousins and shit.
Right. We looking at the WBA. Let's look at the WBC lightweights. Let's look at them. because I want to see, because you know PBC cats, they praise the WBC, and to be real,
that nigga can fight Jorge Linares and make it look like something like for real. I wouldn't be mad if he fought Jorge Linares next. That shit would be better than what the fuck he doing right now.
I agree with that. It would be
honestly,
better.
Ryan Garcia is number 4. They gonna say that fight ain't gonna make no goddamn sense, regardless of him being number 4 on the list or not. Robert Easter on the same side of the street, so that's the way they could probably try to quiet down commotion and say, "Oh well, he just fought a Gamboa and now he fighting the Robert Easter." You know what I mean? Even though Robert Easter been washed up.
Not shit on Ryan Garcia, not you, not saying you are, but you cannot really talk down on a Ryan Garcia Tank Davis fight. That fight will do numbers.
I know it do numbers because what's been Floyd's major business model? Floyd's major business model has been the Mexican community and looking like the freaking supervillain to the Mexican community, and them buying these tickets to see him get his ass kicked by Miguel Cotto or Juan Marquez, shit like that. Yeah, I think Ryan Garcia would be a great fight. It would bring the young generation out, kind of be like, it'll kind of have that KSI Logan Paul energy, but it'll have real boxing fans, and it had a swagged out youngsters that follow Tank Davis and the young little girls that heartthrob over Ryan Garcia, and the Mexican community that love Ryan Garcia as well. So it would be a great fight, and it does make a lot of sense for them to come together. And if this is truly if it's truly Bob Arum and Al Heyman's plan to come together and work together, then they might as well go ahead and unify for a fight like that. And I don't see why they couldn't build it up and have those guys talk to each other inside of the ring, get in the ring of the next person's fight, talk shit to one another, build it up throughout the press, build it up through both of their respective promotional outfits, and being used in their major marketing machines and Fox and ESPN, and just build the shit up and have it go down in the fucking summer in like an open air venue, and like do that shit somewhere in California, Arizona, like Las Vegas. There's plenty of places they could do it. Even in Mexico. But even though I'm just saying, I know they wouldn't sell it, but it was fucking sell through the roof if they did it in Mexico. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know how much stock I can put into Al Heyman, this Cox deal, and Bob Arum working together unless it's with a sense of urgency. Because it has to be a fucking sense of urgency. Like, their whole fucking 2019 should be a sense of urgency. So if anything, that should tell Al Heyman that, fuck it, if I'm going to work with him with Tyson Fury and we made this happen and nobody believed that February 22nd they were going to pull this shit off, then goddamn it, get something cooking in the works right now between one of your other fucking fighters for real. Because it ain't going to be long before Al Heyman's attention is going to be tied up and focused on making that Josh Taylor fight for Jose Ramirez. I'm trying to really tie up and be the unified king of 140.
Tank is not even ranked in the WBC. Not top 15, maybe top 20, but they just showed the top 15. Tank not in there. Ryan Garcia is the number 3 lightweight in the WBC, bro.
Wherever they got Devin Haney, they gonna keep Tank Davis all the way away from that shit. As much as Devin Haney used to kick Tank Davis' ass all throughout Mayweather gym, coming up all through spawn wars, he was always getting his ass kicked.
Devin Haney ain't even ranked. He ain't even
champion in recess. They got him in recess.
Number 1 is Fortuna. Number 2 is Campbell. Number 3 is Ryan Garcia. Like,
Javier Fortuna was supposed to fight Devin Haney next. But because they made Devin Haney a champion in recess, Javier Fortuna gets the number 1 spot. Whatever the fuck a champion in recess is. But that's what Devin Haney is.
He got injured, though. He got injured. So he gets injured. They strip him. Errol Spence getting a car wreck.
Hold on.
God knows how long.
Champion in recess. Go ahead. You was on the road,
bro. Okay, shit. No, I'm just saying, like, they took Devin Haney's strap for being injured, understandable injury. But first, Errol Spence getting this car wreck and is out for God knows how long. They don't take shit from him. They don't take his strap. None of that. but they're gonna take Devin Haney's strap, and he's not even ranked in WBC.
Because he's a matchroom fighter. Anytime matchroom can even get close. Anytime the matchroom jets get close to them PBC fighters, man, and they can stop and they feel like they're gonna stop their plight. Oh, they getting them up out of there. They getting them up out of there fast. They doing clean sweeps. That's all they do, man. I'm telling you. Notice how every time that it's been a matchroom's time to get at, so-called precious gems over at the PBC, whether it's your little pussy ass Deontay Wilder, whether it's whether it's Stank Davis, whether it's any of them. Look what they do. Something always happens. Look what happened to Dillian White. Now, as soon as Devin Haney gets injured, he becomes a supposed champion in recess because technically you can't do anything to him. You can't strip him. So because he's going to get a fucking surgery on his shoulder, you can use the medical stipulation to say, hey, we're going to put him as a champion in recess so we can technically take the belt from him, continue to make another WBC champion, and do whatever else they can do. But I'm sure it came down to them just trying to make a fight off sanctioning fees and make another fucking WBC champion low-key.
I'm looking at the rankings. IBF don't got nobody. Like, nobody in the IBF rankings is credible by the casual or even some hardcore fans. They're not credible. Except maybe Porter, because Porter is number 10 in the IBF. But guess what ranking Porter is in the WBC welterweight?
About Bud Crawford.
Shawn Porter is number 1 in the WBC.
Who?
Shawn Porter is the number 1 contender in the WBC.
I still see having Devin Haney beating him. Ooh,
number 1.
Now that's a fight I would like to see. Devin Haney and Shawn Porter. That'd be a good test for Devin Haney.
Devin Haney sparred Shawn Porter before.
That'd be a real good test for him because, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me personally, I don't feel as though Shawn Porter's no more than a fucking B- fighter. You know what I mean? Everybody else got all of this newfound love for him after Errol Spence, but Errol Spence ain't nothing but a B level fighter, in my opinion. You know, y'all can put all of this greatness on him or whatever, but I've seen some stylistic welterweights, and he's got a lot of intangibles where he can be that. He ain't there yet. You know what I mean? Errol got a lot of holes in his game. Let's be honest here. Shawn Porter has shown us that. But what I'm saying is,
I think Danny can utilize his number 1 contender status in the WBO. Everybody's saying that Terrence Crawford ain't fought nobody, and I still feel like Terrence Crawford is ducking Shawn Porter. But at the same time, you got a number 1 contender in a Danny Garcia, who is not even trying to utilize his spot in the number 1 contention as a WBO contender. And if he really saying that Crawford ain't fought nobody, why you ain't trying to step up and fight him since you the number 1 dude for the WBO strap? And you ain't even top 10 in the WBC, and you was a former WBC.
Who's number 1 in the WBO? Danny Garcia?
Yes, sir. He's number 1.
Danny Garcia don't want that smoking. My bad. I'm tripping. Fucking Devin Haney at 135. He had to come up 2 weight classes. But Devin Haney will eventually be at 147. That would be a good fight, him and Shawn Porter in the future. But right now, as far as Terrence Bud Crawford is concerned, the guys that should be fighting Terrence Bud Crawford, they are not going to fight Bud Crawford. But this is what I'm saying is the problem in boxing, because these dudes are too feline and they don't want to fight Bud Crawford, and they are champions. I'm not going, y'all supposed to take, y'all going to take y'all foot off their neck and put pressure on him fighting his best friend who's coming off his loss and don't have a belt. What part of the game is that? That doesn't make sense in boxing. You need to focus on the individuals who have the straps. He's a strap holder, so he should be chasing other strap holders. And y'all know it doesn't make any worldly news-covered sense for him to go after Shawn Porter right now, because boxing purists saying, oh man, that's going to be a hell of a fight, and I like to watch it. But see, this is the thing y'all don't realize. Did y'all ever watch Bud Crawford versus Felix Diaz? When he unified, there was a unified WBO, WBC championship when he was on his way to becoming undisputed in 140. If you watch the Felix Diaz fight, Felix Diaz fought 100% just like Shawn Porter, the exact same style. That fight was fought the exact same way. Felix Diaz had the amateur pedigree, over 300 fights, gold medal holder, and on top of that, Felix Diaz was 19-1 with 9 KOs at the time. So he kind of mirrored the same type of power, or even better at the time if you average their KO percentage than Shawn Porter's. So you kind of say he might have had more power. So, and that was the exact same fight. And what did Bud Crawford do to him? He beat and abused his ass. So what I'm saying is, if stylistically, if we're going to look at Shawn Porter getting in the ring with a masterclassman like a Bud Crawford, I don't see how you guys don't think that Bud Crawford isn't going to be slick and lick him up the exact same way, because that is the exact same style, and so is that, and that's duplicating the exact same fight. Shit, if you wanted an artificial intellectual look at it and shit like that, man, run that shit through a simulator and tell me Felix Diaz versus Bud Crawford ain't no different than Shawn Porter versus Bud Crawford. You can't say, hey, they on two different levels of fighters for real, because Shawn is an average fucking fighter as well.
Hold up. The Red said, hold up, let's see what this man the Red said. The Red said, bro, they offered Khan 5 and Danny 3. You can't front threats weak, and Danny was slated to fight Spence, and you think Bud will fight Danny this January? I get it, but I don't get what you're saying. But at the same time, Angel Garcia told Bud Crawford to step up for a whole meal ticket. He told Bud, he's on wax saying that he told Bud step up for $1 million to fight his son Danny Garcia, and he did that, won a belt. And then when he started calling out cats, now Angel Garcia getting all yellow belly and shit, talking about, oh, why are you only calling out PBC fighters, blah 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 blah. Now, two hands, tell me I'm lying, or let me know if it's something else going on that I don't know. But
I mean, shit, if that's the type of bullshit they want to throw up there and say that, Danny Garcia was only offered $3 million, first of all, you're going to speak on the first offer that he was offered him. And the thing about negotiations, if you're willing to come to the table and you really want to get busy with Bud Crawford, there's no reason why you can negotiate those other zeros, since you just happen to throw in a number that you only realistically wanted to see yourself. Clearly, Danny Garcia did not want to fight Bud Crawford, and he came out himself and said that he needs to focus on other fighters that are on his side of the street. He don't even have no interest in the fight. And, you know what I mean, they try to come out and shit on him, but at the same time, they were offered the offer, and you can tell, and what part did Danny Garcia want any part of Bud Crawford when you fought an Adrian Granados, and now who's straight up hot dumpster juice, and now you're going to fight Ivan Redcat, who just clearly, just got his ass beat by Tevin Farmer, who is a 135 pounder. So at what part is fucking Bud ducking Danny Garcia? And Bud clearly will want the Danny Garcia fight more than the goddamn Amir Khan fight, because people would say that because he's a PBC fighter, that's a fucking better test. Ain't nobody ducking Danny Garcia, and honestly, Danny Garcia is no more fucking threatening than Amir Khan, bro. So ain't nobody ducking no fucking Danny Garcia, bro. Stop that shit.
Yeah, that's how I feel, bro. Because when he said focus on your side of the street, Top Rank don't got no welterweights. All the top welterweights are on PBC. All the top ones. The only top welterweight that Top Rank got is Terrence Crawford.
And boom, you want to know what and speaking to to the PBC having all of the guys at 147, this is what I have to say about that. PBC has all of the guys at 147. The round robin that you guys have ran all through 2017 all the way up, going up to now into 2019, you're not going to be able to do it anymore. That's about to stop. What else can they service you guys and feed you guys? I'm talking about the viewing audience at 147 that's coming from the PBC. That is going to be exciting as far as 147 is concerned. You're going to have to do business on the other side of the street. And listen, man, all you Spence fans, all you PBC fans, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But there's going to have to be a change, because they don't even have much that they're going to offer over there. And there's not much Manny Pacquiao is going to take, and nobody can sit and twiddle on their thumbs and wait for him. You're going to have to make a big fight, and the fans are thirsty, and there's not much left at 147 that you could give them. So you're going to have to start freaking cooperating and playing fair with others. Shit.
Hold up, I'm gonna get back to that comment. I agree with you, snot grabber. PBC are trying to sell. So there's no way they're allowing their fighters to get beat by anyone but their own. I agree, because they want to keep their belts in-house. Right. Not like the Don King era where, where it's like, you come in with the champion. If you leave, then if your champion lose, then that's just on you. And Don King set up the what fight was that? The George Foreman and Joe Frazier fight. He set that fight up. That was a Don King promoted fight. And when Don King came into the ring, he came in with Joe Frazier. When Don King left, he left with George Foreman. And you know what Don King said? I came with the champion and I left with the champion. And I think that's the mindset that the PBC cats want to have. That's why they keeping all that in-house, because even if Danny beats Errol Spence, or if anybody beats Errol Spence in the PBC side, it stays in the PBC era. It stays with them. But if PBC fighters go fight top ranked dudes and lose to them, then they go over there. They want to keep all that in-house. They want to keep control and maintain control. And if they were to fight anywhere outside of PBC and lose, they relinquish control to another promotional banner. They ain't trying to do that.
Right,
but
because
was another comment.
And some awkward, visually unfulfilling way, you know what I mean? It's not about belief when it comes down to their stable. It's about the business. So technically, they're not even going to gamble with belief when it comes down to business. They don't want to shake the dice with that.
Right.
They want to be 100% sure. They want a sure thing. And even if it is just a chip off the huge block of cheese at the end of the day, they would rather have that chip of cheese and then to try to bank their money on belief. So their business model comes first. They could care how I visually feel about it or you visually feel about it, because as long as two guys are in the middle of the ring busting each other upside of the head, giving you something to look at, and it's freaking enjoyable enough, hey, they're contingent upon getting whatever little bit they're getting, but they don't want what little bit of belts they have to leave, because apparently that's all the leverage they have until they come up with this whole PBC confederation.
Now the Red says, so why would you offer Khan more from the gate? Fuck out of here. Danny don't need Bud. It's some of Bud's fault too. What's your take on that?
Who said? I never said that Danny offered. I never said that Danny was offered more money out of the gate. I'm just saying, in terms, when you're negotiating a fight, you're going to set out a number. Usually in contracts, you're not agreeing on the first fucking number. So I just simply said, if you felt as though that was the case, why? Or if you felt as though that was the case, even though you looking at the low end of the spectrum, that wasn't the case. And nor you or I know the exact number of the contract, so I'm not going to sit here and argue exact figures. I know what was put out in the media. I know what was said. I know what Danny Garcia dodged, and that's what it boils down to. And I'm not going to sit up here and argue fucking these little indiscrepancies, 3s and 5s, about the fact that we're never going to know the exact number. All we're going to do is know a roundabout number. It's no different than looking at it from this way, like Deontay Wilder and his just recent match with Luis Ortiz, where I could believe that he only sold 180,000 because that's what's put out in the media on the low end, and the high end is no higher than 280 or no north of 325K. So I mean, we could sit up there and dispute that all day. But the fact is, we're never going to know the exact number. So I ain't going to do that little to the shit. That's arguing that's focusing on something so minuscule that don't even matter to the grand scheme of the conversation.
Right. And I really think that Danny don't want to make the fight happen. Danny, to me, in my opinion, he's scared to lose. He one of them type of dudes. He was already feeling that way when he lost to Keith Thurman. Honestly, to me, in my opinion, Danny ain't been the same since he lost to Keith Thurman.
I mean, let's be serious, bro. Didn't help. He just lost to Shawn fucking Porter. If he just went life or death with Shawn Porter and just lost with him, do you honestly think he is trying to jump back in the goddamn ring with a Bud fucking Crawford? Give me a fucking break. He didn't want to jump in the ring with Bud Crawford because obviously Danny Garcia is out here fighting true 135-pounders, man. That is all he has offered the game since he has come back, other than his big ass fucking teeth. So all I'm saying is, like, bro, let's be serious here, man. We gotta base our opinions off of the actions of the individual. We can't base it off of the emotion, and that's something I'm not going to do. So for those of you who just ain't feeling me, hey, we just agree to disagree.
I feel you. And he says, Jack Hal Davis says, Danny talking about wanting $10 million. Who you beat at welterweight to demand $10 million? Bob Arum ain't paying that.
Keith Thurman just got 2.5 million fighting fucking Manny Pacquiao. So $10 million fucking knowledge, shit, give me a fucking break.
Yeah, you got to pay for that money. If you want that type of money, you got to fight Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, he demanding like shit. I mean, man, we demand a whole lot of things, man. So I demand a little bit more sauce on my, you know what I'm saying, my ribs when I go to Mission Barbecue. Sometimes I gotta hound them niggas for it.
But how you gonna demand more money as a challenger? How you gonna demand more money for that? Like, that don't make sense. That don't make no sense. You gonna do? I want more money. If I'm gonna fight Terrence, I need more money. But if they offered you $3 million to fight,
because he think them shiny ass veneers he just got is going to sell a fight. He think them new big ass veneers he got is going to help sell a fight for him. He think that's going to bring in about 1.5 million in viewership. Like, Danny need to get up out of here. Danny has not put anything reputable on his resume in a long fucking time.
This is what I'm talking about. The fact Danny turned down $3 million. Like, this is what I don't like about PBC cats. This is the front they be putting on. I'm gonna speak on this because it pisses me off. Y'all get these offers, right? These $3 million, these $5 million offers, $7 million offers, right? From Top Rank in the Zone. Y'all turn them down. And then y'all very next fight, after turning down $3 to possibly $8 million, y'all only fighting for 1 or 2. What I think is, in my opinion, they mad because they want that back end money. And I think that's what it is, because I was heard that it's rumored that the Charlos be getting $10 million on the back end, all in total. So if
them niggas ain't even safe enough to get their money on the front end. Yeah. They ain't even safe enough to advance on the front end, let alone talk about a back end. Jesus Christ. I mean, these dudes are really that fucking stupid. I mean, Al Heyman is holding these dudes' hand all the way through the process of their fucking business and fucking sticking dick to them boys with no Vaseline throughout the entirety of the process. Because shit, they're not even good enough to get their money on the advanced tip, because they're not a guaranteed sure thing when you invest into these guys. So back in, please, you know what I mean? Y'all don't even push enough sales on freaking pay-per-view to even move a damn needle, let alone, like, you know, I'm telling you, they believe in their dollar value, but they don't bring in the type of value. They don't put enough into their own fighters' pedigree to even fucking, you know, to demand that type of shit. Like, really, man, you're only going to get it by fighting the type of guys that you should be fighting, man. And if you're not going to fight those type of guys, you're not going to see that type of money, period, man. It's really about who ass you whooping out here for people to care about you, bro.
So the Red, how much did Danny Garcia get paid to fight Shawn Porter and Keith Thurman? I don't know. But since we own that, I need to know how much he got paid for Shawn Porter and Keith Thurman. Both were title matches, bro. Both were title bouts. Both of them. And if he didn't make more than 10 million, or he didn't make 10 million at least, no one has no argument with that. Oh, well, he should get this and this. No. Well, what did he get for Shawn Porter and Keith Thurman? Because both of those fights were tough, grueling fights. They were both tough fights, bro. So, again, I'm looking in the comment section right now. I need to know, somebody post me the numbers of what he made. My phone is my battery low, so I can't be on my phone like that. Otherwise, I look it up myself. So, what did he get for Shawn Porter and Keith Thurman? Because those were 2 dog fights. Yes, we pay taxes in America, Anthony Prince, but you don't understand the back end money. That's called what you get from ticket sales, the views, pay-per-view buys.
You get off of pay-per-view sales, your fucking all the merchandise, ticket sales, et cetera.
So that's what we mean when we say back end
outside money. Of your guaranteed money is what you're guaranteed to make on the purse. But if you're getting a percentage of the pay-per-view, that means you're going to get a percentage of the profit that was brought in from the pay-per-view. So when a person is speaking in the term of back end, they're speaking on pay-per-view. But then if they're getting a part of the merchandise, if they're selling merchandise and everything as well, they might get a percentage. All of that too might go into that as well. It all depends on the stipulations are all in the contract. But usually when a person is speaking back end, like Boone is speaking to you, he's basically telling you, talking about what this person is getting, if he is getting a percentage of the pay-per-view.
So he got $2 million for Thurman, but he turned down $3 for Bud.
And you want to know why he got $2 million for Thurman? Because Keith Thurman was Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia was Danny Garcia at that time, and both of them could talk, and both of them, you know what I'm saying, had a little following belong up. Because if you look at the business model like this for the PBC, when it comes down, you know what I'm saying, stay with me here. When it comes down to the Danny Garcia Keith Thurman fight, you've got Keith Thurman and his fan base, which is 50% to the contracted table. You've got Keith Thurman with his business sense, with his popularity and his fan base, which is bringing 50% to the business table. So when you put these guys together, both of them, their stardom is enough for them to ink that kind of money for that type of bout, because that's one of the more premier bouts that you're going to get. It's going to be one of the more top-notch bouts that you're going to get from the PBC. Now, when them niggas is fighting like your red cats and stuff like that, that guy might see, like Danny Garcia might see 1.2 to 1.5 million, and the other guy might get freaking 300 to 500,000, if that. If Danny's even lucky to see that, he might only be getting $1 million flat for the joint for real. Like, because even Bob Arum came out in the media and he expressed that, and that's what I've been trying to tell people now about, saying that they need to co-promote with other fighters. I've been saying, really, a fighter is only bringing 50% to the table. So he needs another another fighter's name. He needs another fighter's name to go along with his, so you can put asses in the seats and you guys can generate, you know what I mean, as hefty as a pay-per-view that you possibly can. Or if you're going outside of the pay-per-view, as hefty, like I said, as many seats in the as you possibly can if it's going on a streaming service. So honestly, you know, these guys aren't big enough stars to where they can move that shit by themselves. But when they come together, it's powerful enough to where it brings enough energy around the boxing world where it generates more buzz, it generates more talk, and we get more out of it. That's why I feel as though these guys need to work with one another. They can't keep doing it this way because none of them are popular enough. They all need one another. They all do. And when they come together, you know, great shit happens. And it's more shit that's talked about, because all of the most talked about fights this year are genuinely from guys that have come together, and, you know, shit that's been made happen from other co-promotions getting together, because shit, Andy Ruiz came from the PBC. Him and Anthony Joshua had to make magic together. That was co-promotion. Luke Campbell and fucking Lomachenko had to come together to make fucking magic happen. You know what I'm saying, this year. Maurice Hooker and Jose Ramirez had to come together to make magic happen. And Sergey Derevyanchenko and Triple G had to come together from co-promotions to make magic happen. And so those are some of the top fights that have happened throughout 2019. So we can honestly say that, man, look, man, the business model is so much better and there's more conversation. And the energy is a lot better around the boxing world when we got guys that are willing to come together and work. And I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's business. So there's no reason why guys shouldn't be able to work together anyway. So I'm just saying, look at the fights that I've just said, and I've said more than 5, and you look at everything that's going on, and you can't tell me that doesn't, you know what I mean, it doesn't make it better for the boxing world. Because obviously, you know, without those things going on, it would have been a very lackluster year if everybody stayed to their so-called respective sides of the street. We don't need that.
Mm-hmm. So basically, you guys want Crawford to get some type of backlash for not fighting Shawn Porter. And Two Hands has already stated that it don't make sense for a champion to step down to fight a guy who's coming off of a loss and is not even ranked in the WBO. And the guy that he actually is willing to fight is ranked number 1 in the WBO. And he's making every excuse why he doesn't want to fight, or he's saying that he wants more money. But you haven't been paid that for your biggest fights that you fought in, which is a Keith Thurman and a Shawn Porter. You didn't even make half of that fighting those two fighters. So why are you trying to say that you need to get more money to fight this guy when you've never made that? That's like when Wilder said he was going to give $50 million and you ain't even made $1 million at that particular time in the fight. So where do you have this $50 million to throw out? And also, Alan Heyman is known for not putting up none of his own money to make fights happen. So where was the money coming from? And Bob Arum has already got on Eddie Hearn for overpaying fighters as well. So Bob Arum ain't finna put up no $10 million. Bob Arum probably don't even want to put up 5. I can't even believe half the shit. I can't even believe nothing that Bob Arum said because Bob Arum be lying.
And see, the problem with these motherfuckers, they not willing to do what Eddie Hearn does. That's why I said in this boxing world right now, if you're looking at fucking Al Heyman, I'll give Al Heyman's a little bit younger than fucking Bob Arum. So I'll continue to say that Bob Arum is the fucking Chevelle. 67 Chevelle 454 with his business practice. Al Heyman is a goddamn, I say he's a 240 SX. I ain't got that much belief in him, no way. And I say that Eddie Hearn is the Tesla because he's more innovative in his, his business is in his business practice. And when you look at what Eddie Hearn does, regardless of whether he gives guys, he's willing to give guys a couple more mil. Y'all fans should appreciate that shit more because he's willing to overpay these guys that y'all fuck with and y'all fluff and blow so much hot air for and say the best fucking thing since sliced bread and the fucking wheel. He's ready to get these dudes money to come over to one side of the street and risk it all on one fight contracts. And your dude can go back to doing whatever just so we could get these types of fights made. And the only ones that are stopping that shit is the PBC because Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn work together. You know what I mean? As much as Bob Arum try to shit on Eddie Hearn low key, Bob Arum know he need Eddie Hearn. And Bob Arum, would have been really shitty without Eddie Hearn in 2019. Honestly, one hand wash the other, both hands wash the face, man. So at the end of the day, man, everybody needs to go out there and gamble on. If you fuck with your business, man, gamble on your practice, man, gamble on your fighters, man, so we can make these fucking fights happen, man. Be willing to overpay another fighter a little bit more on the other regime to get them to come to the table and acquiesce on the terms. Because if it all comes down to some fucking money, it seems like Eddie Hearn is more than willing to spend the fucking money. What the fuck is the problem with you accepting it, especially if it's on terms of one contract deals or not trying to lock you in if it's life-changing? And if it's going to do something for your legacy and propel you into another unified match with an even bigger fighter that's behind the guy that you're supposed to be fighting. All of these guys got these opportunities to not take them because, hey, man, I see Matchroom's doors wide open and it looked like the streets are paved with gold right now. And they getting another big bag from what I've heard. If they haven't already got it, Eddie Hearn's getting thrown another big bag just for all of the things, all of the shit he's done in 2019 alone. They ready to put another big bag into it so he can invest in more fighters.
And D. Rashad says, if Bud signed to PBC, nobody would give a FU about top-ranked welterweights, to be honest. But top-ranked don't have no top welterweights. All the top welterweights are on PBC. And even if Bud was to sign with PBC, he's still not going to get the fights because we already know PBC cats that want to fight top PBC cats. They can't even get them fights.
It ain't about
Russell Jr.,
it ain't about being on that side of the street with PBC fighters. All it's about is what makes sense. How can we milk the fucking cow for as long as we possibly can? Over the longevity of this PBC thing, and we got this deal. How can we stretch this out, milk this, and get paid for this bout and this bout and this bout? Looking at Bud Crawford's talent, him coming over there, his popularity doesn't supersede his talent supersedes his popularity. So he's not as popular as he is talented. So they won't let him come through there and wash the division because the money won't make no sense. They will keep him away from this guy and have him fight this guy once or twice and say, oh, you need to fight this guy because this makes sense. None of that shit will happen, man. Like, for real. It won't.
I'm going to say this, bro. I'm going to say this. Andy Ruiz Jr., Anthony Joshua. Two different stable mates. Nobody picked Andy Ruiz Jr. to beat Joshua. That's why they make that fight happen. They can make the fights happen if they're not worried about the guy that's fighting. If they don't have a care in the world, it's like, yeah, you can take him, it's good. I don't care if you win, lose, draw, whatever. If they do that, then it's not a big deal if they win or lose. But they're not finna put a Deontay Wilder or Jamal Charlo. They're not finna put their top guys out there like that. They're not finna do that. They only gonna put the dudes they don't care about losing, that they don't have no real money behind them. And there wasn't no money behind Andy Ruiz when he fought Anthony Joshua. There wasn't no money behind him. But due to the fact that he won, he beat Anthony Joshua, now all of a sudden they want to start backing him and all that BS. The PBC model is BS, bro.
Bro, but he's trying to say the fights would be made if they're on that same side of the street. Well, why can't Gary Russell get a fight with Leo Santa Cruz?
I was just finna say that. Thank you. They will not sign to the zone, bro. Because of that. That's why they're not signed to the zone, bro. That's why they don't want Dana White to come to boxing. That's why they don't want Zuffa to come to boxing. Because if that happens, everybody fighting everybody. Like you think them UFC fighters have a choice? They don't. They don't make them fight happen. You gotta fight him. Period. I'm matching y'all up. This is gonna happen, whether you like it or not. Period. They don't want that in boxing. They don't want it to where, oh, you have to fight Billy Joe. Oh, you have to fight Boo Boo Andrade. Oh, you have to fight Canelo. You have to fight Tank Davis, or you have to fight Ryan Garcia. If they don't want that, they don't want them stipulations where they have to fight these guys. Actually had to fight Loma. He have to. Ain't no getting around that. I promise you, a lot of these dudes wouldn't even be boxing. I promise you. Because boxing is one of the most embarrassing sports. If you get beat a certain way, it's embarrassing. And these dudes don't want to get embarrassed. They scared.
It's hard to come back from that shit. It's hard to come back from that shit, too.
They don't want that, bro. Gary Russell has no marketability. Hold up. He says, Thomas C says, Gary Russell Jr. has no marketability. Gary Russell Jr. is very outspoken. He knows how to talk in the public eye. He can articulate himself very well.
Right. They just shifting the goalposts. No matter what you're saying, it's a goalpost shift. At the end of the day, you know, a lot of these guys don't have the star power and they don't have the marketability, but they're getting the fights. Because, I mean, if they did, they would be on fucking pay-per-view. And even when they put those PBC guys on pay-per-view, they aren't doing spectacular numbers. None of them are breaking 1 million buys. Shit, none of them are breaking 500,000 buys. Shit, they fucking feel like it's a good showing if they do 325,000. So what stars? Their biggest stars aren't stars.
Yep. Because Errol Spence only did 300K when he fought Shawn Porter, and they was hyping that up. And I'm like, Floyd killing y'all. Y'all ain't even doing 500. Floyd was doing 900K and $1 million easy by himself.
What did Manny Pacquiao and Keith Thurman do? I know it wasn't spectacular, but I want to know the exact number though. Like, what did Manny Pacquiao and Keith Thurman do? Manny Pacquiao, which is supposed to be considered one of the big sells in boxing, next to Canelo, next to Anthony Joshua.
Let's find out.
Because that'll shut all of that shit down.
Let's find out.
Because I don't believe that those numbers were too spectacular from what I remember. But I can't throw out a number and just, you know what I mean, get caught with my foot in my mouth. I refuse to do that. So we're going to keep it to the facts.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Wow. Shout out Boxing News, man. BoxingNews.com stated that the Keith Thurman Manny Pacquiao fight did 500,000 pay-per-view buys.
And 500,000 buys, that was clearly off of Manny Pacquiao's likeness. So you mean to tell me the biggest star in your stable, which is Manny Pacquiao, goes up against Keith Thurman, and that shit can roughly only do 500,000 buys? So, and Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter only did what? I think 3 1/4.
Yeah,
like 3 1/4.
3 1/4.
Deontay Wilder did 180 to anywhere between 180 and 275,000. So that should tell you right there. I mean, shit, none of those guys are truly marketable. So why can't so why isn't Gary Russell getting a Leo Santa Cruz fight? Because Leo Santa Cruz isn't that much of a star himself either. You know what I mean? He's a star to the Mexican fans, but I mean, shit, ain't nobody like Leo Santa Cruz ain't doing no headlines. He always on a co-main.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you know, like that, you know, you can't just move the goalposts, man. It is what it is. No matter who's on the PBC, you only gonna fight who that conglomerate wants you to fight. Period. It ain't based off your view. It's not based off of what you want. It's not based off where you believe your career should go. I don't care who your manager is. It's based off of what Al Heyman and Sam Watson want you to do. And I mean, they're not going against the grain and letting their other fighters go fight any guys across the street. Shit, guys can't even get fight on the same side of the street. I mean, those are just the facts, bro. And then it just shows you, too, you know what I mean, talking about their numbers and what they did this year. They had such a fucking terrible year because of what Anthony Joshua did, even at the UK price for what they do in pay-per-view at 1.6 million is bigger than every fucking thing they have done this year in pay-per-view.
Well, the one thing I have to say, because I just looked it up, and we got to give credit. We got to give credit where credit's due. Thurman Garcia did astronomical numbers, bro. Astronomical numbers. And I'm going to read them to you. Thurman Garcia fight averaged 3.7 million views.
That's in viewership, though.
That's in viewership.
Was Thurman Garcia a pay-per-view?
No, it wasn't a pay-per-view.
That's 3.7 million in viewership. Shit, Tony Harrison and goddamn, that don't mean shit. Because Tony Harrison and Jamel Charlo did 2.3 million in viewership. If it's on free cable TV and everybody can watch it and Fox is going to slate you on a football day or something like that during football season or whatever the case may be, it's not hard for 3 million people to just cut their TV on and watch you, bro. See, viewership, that is a good viewership number because 2.3 million in viewership for Tony Harrison versus Jamel Charlo is good viewership. But that is during football season. We all have to take in consideration when they are showing you this and when the people are going to catch this stuff. So, you know what I mean? Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman, respectable names. Man, they better do 3.7 million in viewership. If they don't, I'm going to smack my mama. No, not even smack my mama. You should smack your mama.
Gonna check out another pay-per-view number. Wow. Okay. Yeah. PBC not doing good pay-per-view numbers. Adrian Brown and Manny Pacquiao did 400K.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying. So DT3, take everything fucking they have done on pay-per-view this year. And even put what Anthony Joshua sold on pay-per-view over in the UK, 1.6 million, the record, period. Take that even at UK cars and what they did on pay-per-views and shit like that. Anthony Joshua smashed them by his damn self. By himself, man.
Yep.
That's all of what they did in pay-per-views tied up in one at a UK cause. Anthony Joshua smashed them.
I'm surprised, man. 400K pay-per-view buys.
I got Pascal. I got Pascal going to decision. I think it's going to be a draw, but I got Pascal beating Badu up. I think Pascal got his number.
Putting a boxing clinic on Pascal. What do you mean, two hands?
Man, they said the same thing about Marcus Brown too. And Pascal done been able to beat out.
I think Bandu is gonna box smarter than Marcus Brown, in my opinion. I think he'll box smarter. I think he got the better training of the two. If I had a choice between Marcus Brown and Bandu Jack, even though Marcus Brown fought a good fight against Bandu Jack, but still, I think Bandu Jack is gonna box ears.
You see what I said though? I said it's gonna be a split draw. You feel me? Like I think the fight gonna be a draw. I think that, you know what I'm saying? Like really, if I had to put my money on it, I would pick Badu Jack to win. But really, you know what I'm saying? Looking at John Pascal career, who he done fought and shit like that, I got goddamn John Pascal coming in that zone. They thinking John Pascal gonna lay down, and nah, John Pascal gonna take that fight to him and get that draw. And the only reason I say a draw because they ain't gonna let Pascal win, even if he do beat him on points, bust him up, cut him up, and all of that shit. But I honestly think with Pascal Hart and the type of fight that he gonna fight, I think the Pascal really gonna shake Badu Jack ass up. And Badu been inactive for over a year now. You know what I mean? With that cut. How's he going? How's that cut going to be? He had a big ass fucking gash in the center of his damn nose. He had a freaking, it was a crack all the way in the middle of the street. Like, how are they going to be able to fill that joint in back properly? What if one shot, boom, bust that joint wide back open again? You know what I mean? I'm thinking of like all of those little scenarios as well.
Agreed. But I just think that Pascal is good. He's fought he's fought at the highest level for the past 10 years. You know what I mean? So I give the man props for that. What I saw in Marcus Brown fight,
he took B-Hop back.
One shot too much. That's what makes me nervous. He was looking for that one woof, and he caught him. But I don't think he's going to catch Bondu with that shit. I just don't think he's going to do it. I think Bondu is going to have Marcus Brown. I think his defense is a lot tighter.
Didn't John Pascal say he had like an injury or something, though? They said he got himself injured during that fight. I think he said in the Marcus Brown fight he got injured during that fight.
You right.
So I think that affected his ability, you know what I'm saying, to fight as well, too. My whole thing is, bro, it's like at the same time, when I look at these PBC fighters like Badou Jack and I look at Marcus Brown and guys like that, man, I really don't think that their ability is truly where it should be. And I'm just talking the basic fundamentals of boxing. So when I look at a guy that's coming back to a little bit more of a throwback era, like a John Pascal and the people he's been in the ring with, and during that time, those guys did mix it up. Even when John Pascal came in the pros and he was mixing it up with top guys. I just think that, you know, I always choose the experienced guy over these new jack, nuanced, mitten, over glorified mitten workers. That's all, you know what I mean? So I'm favoring John Pascal regardless. I ain't got no money on the fight or nothing, but I want John Pascal. I believe John Pascal to win in my ability and shock Badou Jack. I want him to win. I just don't think that those PBC guys, man, I think that same thing with the Marcus Browns and all the rest of these guys, man, they get exposed when they get in there with an experienced fighter, man. Like every time. That's a fact. I was about to say that too. I know he fought Dawson. Like Pascal that's what I'm saying. Pascal resume is crazy. Shout out Blue Collar Sports TV.
Shout out to my boy Blue Collar, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's why I think Pascal is gonna shake the world and get that draw. Like that's my I think he gonna shock the world, get that draw beat.
For sure. I ain't mad at it. I'm still gonna go with Bondu. My boy Two Hands is going with Pascal. I'm going with Bondu.
I'm more interested to see that fight than anything going on that cold card. Like that shit is gonna be exciting. I know that shit's gonna be exciting.
I agree.
And I think that Badou Jack gonna welcome, you know what I'm saying, a lot less. He's gonna exercise a lot less head movement. You know what I'm saying? Marcus Brown move a lot different. Pascal gonna have a lot easier time getting to that face.
For sure. I feel it. So you got Pascal winning, Lorraine, too? All right. So y'all all against me today. Okay, it's good. I ain't mad at it. But yeah, man, I really been trying to give, Bondu Jack his credit because he don't get credit for being dedicated, disciplined, and being the fighter that he is. But also, we need to give a fighter like Jean Pascal his credit too. I mean, the man that fought everybody. Like, he's one of the very few fighters in boxing today that you could actually say he fought everybody. Him, Manny, at this point, Anthony Joshua.
Yeah,
who else in the game pretty much fought? Canelo.
That was during that Super 6 era. You know what I'm saying? Like, he basically did all of the things Andre Ward had to do amongst the Super 6, basically, without being in the Super 6. You feel me? Like, he had to fight like the Chad Dawsons. He fought the Carl Froches. You know what I mean? Like,
in their prime,
guys,
in
man.
their prime. Yeah. In their prime. Let's not be fraudulent. He didn't fight them when they was past their prime. He fought them at their best.
Yeah.
At their best. They don't do that no more.
And when I looked at him, after the weigh-in and all that, man, shit, John Pascal is in fucking amazing shape right now, bro. He look better than Badou Jack do out there.
Yeah, he do. He look like he's in amazing shape.
Being out the ring a whole year, bro, that shit wear on you in a different way, bro. And who knows what his mentality is after taking such a nasty cut. And he got that cut off. That was a Marcus Brown fight when he got that cut. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, John Pascal coming in with a whole different level of confidence, bro.
Yep.
He like, yo, the dude that cut you, I beat him and cut him, and now I'm about to come in here and I'm about to Wolverine the fuck out of you.
I stopped him. The dude that gave me problems, I stopped him. I got him out of there. So I feel you on that one. I got Jermell beating the dog doodle out of Jaime Munguia, bro. Me and IBFP would probably have a major debate on that. But I got Jermall Charlo beating the dog birds out of Jaime. Jaime like to get hit too much.
His handlers would be stupid to put him in a ring for that fight because Jaime Munguia is not going to exercise any hand movement, and he just welcomes getting punched in the face like even more than Jared Hurd, man. And he ain't got the head or the body build for that, man. So to put Jaime Munguia in the ring with Jermell fucking Charlo would be absolutely stupid because all he's going to do is get hit with a loaded up haymaker in the first round and go to sleep. That whole Mexican pride and prowess shit, man, y'all better push that shit to the side and think reasonable here. Think about that nigga helping hospital bills.
He don't have no defense, man. Jaime don't have no defense.
That don't even boil down to that don't even make no sense. Stylistically, it makes no sense. It make no sense the way they moving Golden Boy, moving Jaime Munguia's career to try to move him forward, just to run him into a goddamn stop sign.
They ain't gonna do that.
A rugged one too.
Ain't
you going 70, running straight into a roadblock.
Canelo finna leave Golden Boy, in my opinion. I think Canelo gonna leave Golden Boy and go to the zone. I think he gonna stay at the zone because Oscar, he don't look like he really happy with Oscar.
And you heard what Eddie Hearn said. Eddie Hearn already made it very clear. You know, he's like, I don't step on nobody's toes. But if he ever does leave Golden Boy, we will put in a magnificent bid for Canelo and love to have him on his own.
And you know Eddie gonna cash out. Eddie gonna cash out. Cha-ching ching. Ain't no. And if you want to be technical, who gonna really get Canelo if he was to leave Golden Boy? Who really finna come out of pocket for Canelo? It ain't finna be Bob. Ain't gonna be Bob. And if a damn show ain't finna be Al Heyman. Because you got a whole stable of dudes that don't want no smoke with Canelo. So the only person that's really going to really get Canelo would be Eddie, if you want to be technical. And what's the other dude name? Frank Warren. Frank Warren ain't gonna get him.
It's like Canelo on this elevator in boxing, right? And it's just like, here it is. Like, here's 160, here's 168, and here's 175. You know what I mean? Well, you know, kind of excuse 175 a little bit outside, even though what he just did with Kovalev. And he just rides up the elevator, and then when you open the door, it's an office full of fighters at 168, 160, and 175. And when Canelo walks in the doors and shit, right, he just got his arms out like this. Like, which one of y'all niggas want to scrap? And the niggas just go back, turn their head, and put their head down at their desk. So he's like, all right, screw it. I'm going to go up to the next floor. So then he goes to 168. Ain't nobody got time for this. He opened the door again. And he like, which one of y'all niggas want to fight? Niggas is just like, you know what?
I mean, I'm taking all comers, man.
Got to get this work done for the boss. Goes up to 175, hits Kovalev ass, knocks him down. Now come back down to 168, like, with his doors, with his hands up again. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, and the only one over there, and then you go back down to 160, and then he creep down to 160, and the only nigga that can't catch him, because he all the way in the back, of the floor, where Canelo can't even see him out of eye reach, is damn Demetrius Andre. He's like, what about me? He's screaming. He's like, stop the elevator.
For real.
Bitch, like, stop the elevator.
He can't buy a fight, man. He can't even buy him a fight, man.
That nigga can't buy a fight to save his life, man.
Can't buy a fight. He can't get a fight with the Charlos. He can get a fight with Canelo. Can't buy a fight. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? You do all that work to get to where you at. You get a belt. And now I see why they say the belts really don't mean nothing. Because these dudes are getting belts, and it's like, okay, I'm a world champion now. I'm an established champ. I want to fight this guy, this guy, this guy. Oh, you ain't worth no money. Yeah, you got a belt. You a world champ, but, man, they ain't finna pay me no money to fight you. You ain't got no fans. Ain't nobody finna come see you, which is BS. But that's the excuse that we using nowadays. You ain't worth no money. Ain't no money in fighting you. I'm not getting no multiple millions on top of millions on top of millions. And what was funny, also, I wanted to touch on was when Danny Jacobs walked up on Jamal Charlo and he said, and I didn't get it until I realized how much net worth they were worth. When Danny Jacobs said, "I'm touching M's, I'm touching M's." Charlo brothers ain't touching no M's, not no real M's. And for Danny, because Danny knows something. Danny knows something.
When you on that side and you doing business on that side, you know a lot of shit. Like, man, for real, I know a lot about them PBC dudes and what they really touching and not touching, because I know, you know what I mean? I'm you know what I'm saying? I'm fucking, you know what I mean? I know one of they top earners over there, you feel me? Low key. But I mean, that's just, it is what it is. But I'm just saying, though, them niggas ain't living like they say they is, though, man. Like, yeah, they living good, but they ain't getting it how they think they getting it, you feel me? Like, they overindulge and they overspend. They trying to catch up with a lifestyle that ain't really theirs yet. They can't live it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know what I mean? It's a lot of pump faking going along with their lifestyle. It's not like they're not multi-millionaires to where they can rest and they can spend the type of money they spend, $50,000 on a necklace, $50,000 on some earrings, dropping $200,000 on a car all of the time and doing shit like that. That's not basic millionaire shit. That's not even basic multi-millionaire shit. To do little shit like that, you need to be able to play in the $100 million club comfortably, $50 million, to be at least in the $50 to $100 million club to want to play like that. You know what I'm saying? So guys at their level that are barely touching $1 million checks and stuff like that, the way they spend and the lifestyle they try to keep up with, it's kind of, you know what I'm saying, advanced in a sense too. They kind of, you know what I mean, they kind of setting themselves back in a lot of ways. Or, you know what I mean, like, you can't live that lifestyle with that type of paper. And I know that for a fact because one of their biggest earners over there is one of the most humble guys over there and stacking the fuck out of his paper. So the type of money they spend on themselves, the type of entourage that they carry around with, the way they traveling and stuff like that, you can't sustain that type of lifestyle spending the way you spend it and then think you're going to be able to do it after retirement, because we all know this. In pro sports, it is a known fact that 40% of all athletes are broke within the first 2 years of retirement. They're absolutely 100% bankrupt. They need help. They need help. They need help. That is a known fact. 40% of all professional athletes within the first 2 years of retirement, they go bankrupt. And we're talking about guys that have had $100 million contracts, $80 million contracts, $60 million contracts, $20 million contracts, not guys that are doing a $1.2 million fight here and might get an $800,000 fight here. Then it might go up and they can get lucky to get another $1.2 to $2 million fight here, because we got to break all of that stuff down with the tax man, and all of that money gets cut and divided as well. So the lifestyle that they're living, they're portraying it all of the wrong ways. You know what I mean? They need to have a little bit more frugal means about them. But hey, man, the Choke Chain crew is the most flashy of crews, and they spend their money in certain ways, because if you look at Demetrius Andre, you don't see him walking around flashing like that. You don't see Danny Jacobs genuinely gets money. He getting $1 million fights every time he fights. You don't see him flashing like that. Anthony Joshua just made $85 million. You don't never see what kind of car he driving. You don't see that nigga flashing no jewelry, none of that shit. You don't see him flossing and doing no type of shit that they doing. And he's even said himself that he can't sustain a certain type of lifestyle with his family and all of that stuff, because the whole thing is with Anthony Joshua, he said for to live the ways that they try to talk about to him and portray it, he can't have his family live like that every single day. So why pretend to do it for 24 hours or try to pretend to ball and shit like that? It's about generational wealth. So that's what you should be trying to achieve. And the way that they spend money and with the little bit that they bring in, I don't see how their advisors could be doing them any service with the way that they're spending and the things that they're buying. It just doesn't work like that.
I agree. And closing statements is the fact that Anthony Joshua don't even have to fight. He's set for life. You don't have to fight.
Off that one check. Off that one check. Not to mention all of the other checks that he's got in boxing have been big as hell. Anthony Joshua does not have to fight again for the rest of his life, and his family is taken care of. And all he has to do is just live. with what he has and everything he's accomplished, he doesn't have to do another thing in boxing, and he's set for life. So that tells you about an individual and their integrity for what he's still doing, $85 million richer than what he was. And they were already saying in Forbes, he said that he was worth north of 60 million. So they were saying basically he's worth 60 to 100 million before the fight.
Straight up. Well, in closing, I want to thank my man Two Hands for sliding on. I'm gonna be hitting your line because I got something I want to highlight you about. My phone been going crazy, so I gotta highlight you about some stuff. Cool. But I want to thank Two Hands for sliding on as always. My brother from another mother.
Salute to the chat. Love y'all, man.
Everybody, salute to the chat. I see you, Andrew. I want to thank everybody for sliding in. Thank you as always for being a part of the stream. Appreciate you. And I'm going to end it like my man Two Hands always say, bro. Let them know, bro. It costs them nothing. What?
To pay a nigga no mind. Yeah. Know what it is.